welcome to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. On today's episode of the podcast, I wanted to go over a little bit about my experience at FanExpo Denver this weekend. It is also the 3rd of July, so I apologize immensely if you guys can hear fireworks in the background at any point during this. There's not really anything I can do about it. So if you guys aren't interested in hearing about FanExpo Denver, go ahead and skip this episode. I will have my Stranger Things review hopefully out within the next couple of days. I haven't had a chance to catch up yet, as I did spend Friday, Saturday, and today, which is Sunday, at FanExpo Denver. So I haven't had a ton of free time. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. I spent Friday kind of just walking around the expo, checking everything out, seeing who was going to be there. A lot of the people that I wanted to see this year weren't going to show up until Saturday or Sunday, so I had Friday pretty much free to look at art and get comics and things like that. I did get the opportunity to chat with Ryan Hurst, who plays Opie on Sons of Anarchy. Got his autograph, took a couple of pictures with him. He was very lovely, super tall, very friendly. And then Saturday, I was able to meet Charlie Hunnam, took a picture with Charlie Hunnam, chatted with him a little bit. My experience with Charlie Hunnam, I think, probably rivals my very first experience with a celebrity. I think when I was about 12 or 13, I had the opportunity to meet David Prowse, who, as many of you might know, plays Darth Vader in Star Wars. He's inside the costume, at least. And he autographed my Millennium Falcon for me, and it's always been my end-all be-all celebrity moment because he was so lovely to me. And I understand I was a kid at the time, and of course he's not going to be, mean, but he was so pleasant and just chatted with me for the longest time. And Charlie Hunnam, I feel like, was a very similar experience for me as that experience with David Prowse. Charlie was just unbelievably welcoming and unbelievably warm, more so than even I expected him to be. A lot of the times you get celebrities that command that level of fame or that many people know about. And it isn't that they're mean. I don't want to say it in that way, but a lot of them are a little bit less interested in engaging with the fans on a personal level. And Charlie was definitely not that way. I brought a print, of course, from my favorite movie, King Arthur, and I did an episode about that one if you guys want to check that out and give it a listen. And he told me that they had planned to make 5 King Arthur movies, but that he was certain I was the only one that had watched the first one, so they never did finish them. And I was like, no, Charlie, make them. Because of course I'm greedy and I want, all of them. And he told me a story about Guy Ritchie making the sword in King Arthur specifically for him, and that they hadn't given it to him at the end of wrapping, and that Guy Ritchie had made sure that he got it and that he still actually has the sword from the movie. He was just so sweet and very lovely to me, and I will never ever forget that experience. Like him and Ryan both, I feel like, were kind of the best ones for me, at least personally, to have seen over this weekend, because they were, I feel like, the most welcoming and the most open and the most lovely. Of course, the 4 Hobbits were there, as well as Anthony Daniels. I did get Anthony Daniels' signature, but again, he was kind of one of those celebrities I feel like just doesn't engage or didn't engage with me. It might have been a personal thing. I don't know. He didn't really engage with me, but he did sign a photograph of him with C-3PO, obviously because he is C-3PO. And then I did get to meet Sean Astin and Elijah Wood, Dominic Monaghan. All of the 4 Hobbits were there, and I got to speak to all of them and get their autographs on a photo of mine. And Sean Astin freaked out over my tattoos. I have full sleeves on both arms. And he was like, oh my gosh, look at your tattoos. Like, you are serious about your artwork, and holy cow, which I wasn't expecting. And then Dominic talked to me about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial. I was wearing t-shirt that had Johnny Depp on it, and it said a mega pint kind of day, and he just launched into this thing where he was like, that was the best part of the trial, like so ridiculous how all of this went down. And we talked a little bit about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and he was so lovely to meet. I think it was just overall a really great experience. It was very exhausting, a lot of lines to wait in, to get autographs and things, but really a lot of the people that were there over this weekend, I was very fortunate to get to see, because really a lot of them played a very big role in my childhood and my growing up. The Lord of the Rings was a big one for me, and so was Star Wars, and Anthony Daniels was the second. Only the second, sadly, person from Star Wars that I've ever been able to meet. David Prowse being the only one other than that. But, getting to see them and getting to interact with them was amazing. I did ask Elijah Wood if he would come onto the podcast, and he was like, maybe, which of course 1000% means no, he will not. But one day I will have Elijah Wood on this podcast. One day I will have Charlie Hunnam on this podcast and ask them, about their favorite movies. I know in Charlie Hunnam's panel, he talked a little bit about how he loved the movie Excalibur when he was younger. And then as he got older, he got into like mobster movies and, that kind of thing. And I would really love to be able to sit down with Charlie and talk about, some of his early movie experiences, and just not so much making films, but I would love to hear their experiences of growing up watching them. Because you'd have to imagine, if you want to be an actor or an actress, you grew up loving films, you grew up watching them and loving them, and that's what drove you to have the passion to want to make them. And I know I'm very small at this point. My podcast is not very big. I am so passionate about it though, and I really hope to just grow and continue growing. And one day, even if it's 10 years from now, I will sit down and I will ask Charlie Hunnam about his favorite movies. And yeah, I'll remind Elijah Wood when he comes on the podcast that I asked him at FanExpo Denver. And I will remind him that I hold a grudge about asking him to be on the podcast when I was little and he didn't do it. But no, I think everyone was really quite lovely. I am blessed. I'm very blessed to have been able to go see them and experience that. And I cannot wait to see who comes next year. So did anyone go to FanExpo Denver? Have you been to your own con? Let me know who was your most exciting celebrity to meet. Subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you in the next episode.